episode 26 of Closing Shift. I am one of your hosts, Mia, and the other host is named Emmy.
Yeah, her. Yeet.
Yeet.
Welcome back. Yeet.
We're here to bring some beautiful sound to your ears. Now, I have an opening question this week, and it's a real doozy of a question indeed. If you could have a day to hang out and just chill, do whatever, with any wrestler, who would you choose?
Who would I choose if I had a day to hang out with any wrestler? Any wrestler ever, or one that's, like, active now?
Yeah, let's say ever.
If I had a day to hang out with any wrestler ever, I'm trying to think of ones I'm not so romantically attracted to. Because it's supposed to be more casual. Oh, that's tough. Because there's a lot of examples, I could say. Probably CM Punk.
That's a good choice.
I share a lot of, like, personal morals with him, and I think it would be fun to just talk to him about history of wrestling and stuff. What about you?
That's a little bit harder to think about. I can tell you who I wouldn't hang out with immediately. First one on the top of the mind is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, well, we don't need to
Trumpomania!
talk about that too much. Hulky boy.
Says exactly as much as it needs to about how little my dad knows about modern wrestling. When he found out that Hulk Hogan was going to be speaking at the RNC, he tried telling me as if that was something I would be interested in. It's like, one, it's the RNC. Two, it's fucking Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Even like the Iron Sheik's like fucking dying words on Twitter are all just shit talking Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I put you in my fucking camel clutch.
Hulk Hogan's about to become Family Guy, and WWE's going to remove him from the Hall of Fame twice. Honestly, I think they probably aren't going to do that, but it's crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But also, like, they already did and brought him back. I don't know how they would get away with that again.
No, yeah, it would be a nightmare. It's like WWE, more like woke entertainment.
If they banned him, like, one more time and made a statement, just like, yeah, we brought him back, but just like, this was just too far. I could see that.
Look, he was on probation.
Look, he was in timeout, and now he's grounded. I was going to acknowledge a couple things. First of all, my tribal chief. Second of all, because just, I think it's probably just a rule of thumb now that if we say, I have to acknowledge, et cetera, on the podcast, we have to say my tribal chief first. Ooh, big stretch. Sorry, hold on. Okay. I love that meme right now. What I was going to acknowledge second is we have officially passed doing 6 months of our show.
Wait, really?
It happened recently, but I was going to say 6 months of Closing Shift. Thank you all for listening so far. And we are not stopping anytime soon, but thanks for 6 months of Closing Shift.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
6 months.
We're pretty like over 6 months now, yeah.
Man, that's just math.
Yeah, it's mathematical.
How in the hell did that happen?
Time, man. I noticed it the other day when I was looking at our show. I was like, "Oh, wait, that amount of weeks means we've been doing it for 6 months. Awesome."
Does that make it our longest concurrent show?
I don't know. Probably not total, maybe, but also it could be. But it's definitely, I would say, our longest in terms of like active production, because we record a new episode every week. So we've been like doing this show actively for 6 months. So probably in terms of that, at least. Proud of us.
Proud of you.
Proud of you. The other thing I wanted to acknowledge is one of our biggest updates on the show so far, or on any show, is how much this has basically become a wrestling podcast, is that we are now officially certified people going to WWE Bad Blood in October.
Yeah, brother!
We officially have everything set up, and we will be at WWE Bad Blood October. And if you'd like to, I will probably we'll probably make a little bit of social media content outside of the show. We also will be recording our first in-person episode while Mia is here staying with me in Atlanta. That's the only reason we had the opportunity to go, is just because it happens to be where I live, and I live in an apartment with my sister, and we have never minded the idea of hosting a friend of mine from online, especially Mia or like Chandler or something. You and Chandler are the people I talk to most. To people in my close circle IRL that I talk to about my online friends, you and Chandler have been the most talked about.
Wow.
And that's just because you two are literally the closest friends I've ever had in that group. I mean, Chandler and I have been just playing like our little shitter party games again recently, and Chandler had a moment where he was like, I missed this. I was like, dude, me too. I missed you. But yeah, so we're going to WWE Bad Blood. I'm very excited. It was a nightmare trying to get the tickets, and it's how you know I've never bought tickets for an actual big mainstream event before, is that I didn't even know about like the ticket queue or anything. They were selling tickets on Ticketmaster, and I had to like sit in a queue of thousands of people, and I had to like rush to get the tickets. And like every wall I could have hit in the process of purchasing them, I hit, and I had to like, it was so much anxiety. And if you bought tickets for like mainstream artist concerts or like other wrestling shows, then you probably know how this goes. But I haven't. I've only bought tickets for shows that I've been to several live shows, but all of them were for like YouTubers or YouTube adjacent bands that have like 30 people at their concerts max. And like, that's it. Last time I went to an event like this, I was 11 and I had no idea how purchasing tickets worked. I don't even think those tickets were purchased online. I don't even think they did that back then.
Yeah, very different now than it was then.
Yeah, you had to sit in a real queue with real people and smell their stinky ticket buying asses.
I don't know, maybe at that point it would have still been done online, just not through things like Ticketmaster.
That is possible. We also now, Mia and I, will be doing our first IRL adventure, just the two of us, after over 2 years of not seeing each other in person. Because last time we saw each other was the Boomer meetup. That was also the first time we saw each other when Boomer hosted all of us at his house.
Yep.
That was very fun. But now Mia and I will get a chance to hang out in Hotlanta, and it's going to be very fun. And if you, for some reason, somehow are a fan of our show that lives in Atlanta, and you are going to try to get tickets to the show to try to find us, don't.
Yeah, don't be weird.
Don't make WWE Bad Blood a closing shift meetup. We're not looking for that. Although I am not worried about that at all. I'm very confident that no one is going to do that.
All of you stalkers out there.
All of you stalkers out there stalking.
But what you can do is that you can probably watch back the event of Bad Blood and try to find us in the crowd.
You can. We have very many sign ideas. So if we'll take pictures of all of our signs and put them in like a post on Twitter or something, so you can try to find them.
Yeah, and then you can like triangulate from pictures we take from our seats.
Yeah, if you recognize where we're sitting, send us our exact row and seat section.
And then send us the address we're going back to after the show.
Yeah, and then send us the address Mia's flying back to after she goes home.
Yeah, then then leak my flight numbers.
Yes, I was going to say, send screenshots of the flight tickets.
This is such a fun ARG.
I'm excited because I've been able to think about, because Mia's going to be here staying with me for 5 full days. So we have a lot of stuff planned. We're not just doing Bad Blood, but I'm very excited for that because I've been able to think about planning that now that it's all set in stone. Like, the 3 main things were that we had to get the show tickets, we had to get Mia a flight ticket, and I had to get the time off of work from my job. And now that all those things are set in stone, I've been able to think about the actual trip in general.
Yes, and I'm real happy about the flight ticket part of it, because the last time I had to buy tickets for a flight, it cost like $400 because we were flying on the fucking 4th of July.
Yeah. Thanks, Boomer.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. That was the only... Boomer, every time we talked about it, Boomer said, that was the only time I could host all of you.
Yeah, and it was a good time of year to do that. It led to some very fun festivities.
It was fun.
But it definitely skewed my perspective of how much a normal flight costs, because I was able to get both ways, like full round trip tickets for this for about $150. And I was like, oh my God, that's fine.
Yeah. No, thankfully I had known, I was like, no, it's going to be like way fucking cheaper because like flying at like the beginning of October, that's such like an out of way. Like, that's why I immediately was like, I think we can do this.
Yeah.
Because I knew, like, the hardest part was getting the show tickets. Like,
oh yeah.
After I had them, you said something along the lines of like, and now we do the hardest part, which is waiting. I was like, no, the hardest part is over. The waiting will just be fun. It'll just be anticipation. We get to like talk about all these spontaneous plans we can make. And it's going to be dope because we've been wanting to do something like this. I mean, not so wrestling centric, but we wanted to do a meetup like this since we started Big Wow Big.
Yeah.
And even though we don't do that, we are doing an episode of Closing Shift in person. I'm not going to have that much time to save up money, but I'm going to try to see if I can like set up some kind of podcast studio in this room. I'm mostly just uncertain about the microphone situation, but
I can bring my own.
yeah, it's just going to have to be something like that. I mean, I would just say be careful, because even I brought like Bluetooth speaker to Boomers and it got fried sitting in the carry-on, or not carry-on, the like bottom of the plane. Like I had it in a checked bag. But I've actually flown, when the fuck did I also fly? Oh, that's right. I went to New Hampshire to visit a streamer friend when I was 18. I did it for my spring break in my senior year of high school, and that was fun. I went to New Hampshire in April and it was snowing because it's New Hampshire. And I also went to New York to help my partner at the time move into her university. And that trip was not fun because I got sick while we were in New York and I had to leave my partner in New York, which was upsetting. So that was not a great trip. Very bad first experience in New York. Like, at one point, I believe I passed out on the subway. I don't remember exactly when I passed out, but I think I did. I had to be carried out of the subway station by my friends.
Oh my God.
It was not fun.
That's crazy.
That was my first time in New York. Super cool. And then Boomers was the next time I flew anywhere. So, and my ticket to Boomers was like, it was like $800 or something.
Ugh.
It was really bad. None of that blames on Boomer. Don't go like harass Boomer because of that.
It's just the unfortunate time of year that was. This being October it's a blessing for more than just the price of the airline, because I get to actually see fall for the first time in like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, no, fall in Atlanta. Fall Atlanta is like the shit. I love fall here. It's like, it gets like so like cool outside and like the leaves turn and they fall and stuff. And it's going to be like pretty and nice outside, and it's going to be really chill. Like,
we can watch the leaves fall and
nighttime is going to be cool.
Drink apple cider and kiss and watch
the
Halloween movies.
Wait, what was that? What was that last thing?
And then let's just start fucking.
Okay. All right. I've mentally written off my joke. There's a lot of things. There's this really dope spot in Atlanta for wings. Also, I want to, for hot wings that I want to take Mia to. I grew up on that restaurant. It's in a very specific part of Georgia, so I'm going to not name it because I don't like that idea of any information related to anywhere I live or used to live being out there, besides just Atlanta. But I do love my hometown. Atlanta is my home city, and I do love it.
ATL!
It's a nice city to be from, because Cody Rhodes is from there too. That was one of my favorite things, was every time he came out, hearing that he was from Atlanta, Georgia. There's a lot of dope wrestlers that have come out of Atlanta. Braun Breaker's from Atlanta.
Sami Zayn's from Atlanta.
Sami Zayn is not from Atlanta, Mia. He is from like the opposite of Atlanta.
No, because he has that, he has that anthem that's like, oh, Atlanta.
No, he doesn't actually. His anthem is like, oh, Canada, oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Canada is somewhere I want to go. I'd hypothetically like to go back to New York and have a normal trip there, but I don't know. I'm not like looking to take vacation. I am personally someone who absolutely despises being away from their house too long. I do not like vacations that are more than like 2 or 3 days. It's easier for me to have someone come stay here. That's why I don't mind that it's going to be like 5 days, because like I'm hosting and I'll have my house and everything in it the whole time. That's what I don't mind. And I also am very like, I like people staying in my house and being like welcoming and like, having like, making sure I have a coffee pot they'd use and like making sure they have like toiletries in a place to like shower and do whatever they want to do when they get ready and stuff in a day. I like doing that. I don't like going and staying in like hotels. The semi-germaphobe in me hates the idea of doing that for some reason.
Yeah.
And I also, I honestly like get bored in other places for some reason. I just like will be like, well, cool. Now I'm bored and I can't sleep in my own bed, so that's cool. And I'm like hours/states away from my home, so that's cool. Like on any given day, I just want to go into my pantry and eat my food. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm just a homebody. I'm a very strong homebody, not a big vacationer.
There's definitely some parts of that of like ADHD where it's just like, no, I want to be at my station with my things.
That too. Yeah.
My brain is going to be sending off impulses all day long to go do stuff at that station, and I'm not going to have that station.
Pacing in my house is a lot easier than pacing and thinking in ADHD in like a hotel in like Florida or some shit.
Yeah.
Because I've been to Florida too many times for one person to have to be in Florida that doesn't live there.
How many times have you been to Florida?
I don't know. Like, really, you could probably count it on almost two hands.
I've probably been there about like 4 or 5 times.
I really don't know why my parents like going to Florida so much. I really don't. And only just because I don't like going there. Like, I understand why they like to go there. I do not identify with it at all, though.
Yeah, I guess like Florida is kind of as close as you can get to leaving the country without leaving the country.
Yeah, Florida's like California if you like just like ran it through the dryer for too long.
Yeah. I guess because it's just like it's so tropical.
Yeah.
That it's like you can fool yourself into believing that it is someplace that is not America.
It's just so... I mean, why do you think they're making GTA 6 take place in Florida? Or like a Florida kind of state?
Well, I mean, they've done Miami before.
But this one looks so much more like like Florida.
Yeah.
Realistic with like gators entering grocery stores and shit.
Yeah, this one's actual. This like that before was like the glamorous like nightlife club scene of Miami of the 2000s.
Right.
And this is more like modern Florida.
This is like what Florida's actually like.
This is what's happening off screen of Miami Vice.
Advice for all of you. If you're saving up for a trip to Florida, save up for GTA 6 instead.
I still haven't even really played GTA 5. I've maybe put in like 4 hours on the main story.
I don't even think I've put in that much on the main story. I've seen more clips from the main story than I've played it. I mostly just like would run around in story mode with my friend and use the cheats to fuck around, or I would play multiplayer.
Back when GTA 5 was more relevant and more poppin', that would be like the majority of content I would see around it would just be people fucking around in it like it was Gmod.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe GTA is as old as I was when I went to WrestleMania. GTA is 11 this year.
Oh, yes. It's still, it never hits the brain quite right thinking about how long it's been since things like the PS4 and Xbox One released.
I can't believe I had a copy of GTA 5 when I was 13. How did I get that? I really don't know how I got that.
When I was 13, I had my first love. Ain't nobody that compared to my baby, ain't nobody come true to second ever come above. She had me going crazy. I was starstruck. She woke me up daily. Don't need no Starbucks.
Big stretch.
I'm very tired today. I'm running on 4.5 hours, which is about inverse of how this is normally is.
What, like?
Because you actually got sleep this time.
Yeah, but I usually get sleep. I mean, at least the last few episodes of Closing Shift, I've definitely, unless I'm just remembering incorrectly, I know there was one where I got like 1 hour of sleep because I remember I re-listened to it recently and I heard the intro, me talking about it, when I was like, we got 9 total hours of sleep because I got 1 and you got 8.
Yep.
But no, I mean, my sleep schedule, I was talking to my psychiatrist about this recently because I saw her for the first time in like 2 months, but I was like, yeah, no, my sleep's been good. It's just like off a few nights sometimes, but I usually get it back around. And that's just because I don't think so much about it anymore. Much like everything, I used to just like overthink it. I used to feel like I had to like plan how to sleep better. And it's like, no, I just need to go to bed. Well, actually, how I do plan to sleep better, and I do think this could help most people if you do have trouble sleeping like I do, or just diagnose insomnia like I do, it's just you got to find stuff to do throughout the day to waste your energy so you run out of it by the end of the day, and then you will sleep better.
Yep.
That's why I enjoy like work days, because I'll wake up at like 6 or 7 in the morning and then like do housekeeping stuff all day or something, and then go do my job, and then come home right after work after I close, and then shower and hit the bed, and I'll have the like best night's sleep ever.
You see, that's how it was when we were visiting Boomer. So like normally I have a terrible time getting to sleep. Like I can never sleep when I just actually lay down. But at the end of every day hanging out there, we were doing so much during the day that by the end of it, I was actually like tired and fulfilled that I could actually, I could just lay down and fall asleep.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best way to go about it, in my opinion.
Definitely helped also that it wasn't the 118-degree summer of Arizona, which is going to be another very nice thing visiting you, because it'll actually be like cold and I'll be like comfortable.
Yeah, it might not get like super cold yet, but it'll definitely be cooler outside.
Hey, as long as it's not, oh god, what's it going to be today? Today has a high of 110.
My guess is it'll probably be like 60s, 50s around that time.
I miss when I lived in Indiana and thought that like 90 was high.
I still think 90s high.
I mean, when I see 90 now, I'm like, okay, I can survive that. But I still have days where, you know, if I have to take my grandma to the doctor or whatever, then I still have to spend like at least half an hour to maybe an hour on average waiting for that appointment to get out. And that becomes a lot harder to do during the summer when it starts to get around 115-degree heat and you're sitting out in a car. So I see 90 now, and I'm like, oh, thank God, that's comfortable.
Your grandma should be arrested for leaving you in the car like that.
I mean, I could just go sit inside whatever doctor's office it is that, you know, she's like having her appointment in.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to be able to pass the time without disturbing others. And if I was sitting in a doctor's office, like in a waiting room or whatever, or out in a hall, then like if I was wanting to play my DS or something to pass the time, I'd be so self-conscious about like the sound of the buttons clicking, echoing through the room. It's like, I don't even feel comfortable. Like if I have to wait around in like a waiting room for a doctor's office, I don't even want to be on my phone.
Right.
I do not understand still the mentality of people that, like, I've seen it enough recently. People just playing whatever off their phones, full volume, or not having it on silent or whatever, just in a doctor's office, waiting room, whatever. Just full blast.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, cool, there's a car alarm going off down the street.
I don't know how you could do it with like the sound on and stuff, or just like making noise at all in public.
I mean, even still, like, on a smaller scale, I don't even understand, like, it'll be like my parents or like my grandma that if you hang out around them long enough and they're just on their phone, they're just going to start playing something just real loud out of their phone, whatever it is they scroll across on Facebook or whatever. Just let that shit play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who gives a fuck? What are you going to do, complain about it?
Well, we're just going to, just make sure that the whole room can hear whatever it is you're watching on Instagram.
You're just going to whine like a baby bitch?
You know what I am? I feel like that's one of my most valuable assets is my ability to whine like a baby bitch.
Yeah, it is.
That's how I've made my career.
I know. That's how you made our career, too.
That's something that I had to get good at when I was a kid. And I'm still kind of bad about it. That kind of speaking my mind when it's not exactly like a good time or relevant to be doing that. Like if I ate something that it was just like if I had like any thoughts or whatever of like the dinner we were having, I'd be like, this. And then, you know, if my mom made it, she'd be like, okay, so do you not like it? Do you not want it? It's like, no, I'm going to eat this. I like it. I just had this to say about it. Like this problem of like giving my thoughts on things in ways that sounded like criticisms or that I had like a negative association with the thing when in fact I just had some thought on my mind about it. And I still do that.
I've been doing a lot of work on when and where to say things. I'm working on that right now. It's not like it's the hardest thing, but I just like talk too much.
I had a nice day yesterday where I did almost no talking. It's a bizarre thing, but I talked almost none yesterday.
That's absurd.
I took the whole day off from streaming, and I just spent the entire day playing Dark Souls, and then I ended up staying up too late playing Dark Souls, and ended up tired today. But that was a lovely time. Just it's good to have a little detox from that. Detalk, like talking.
It's important to hang out with yourself sometimes. Do things only you, yourself, and you like to do. Sorry, I just like punched my mic on accident. But I'm sitting a way that I don't usually sit. I'm lounging a lot more than I usually do when we record this.
Sitting on that dick.
The Spotify playlist we're listening to, if you'd like to go listen to it for yourself, is Jazzy Morning, made by Spotify. It's a good playlist, as per usual.
It is a good playlist.
Out of all the jazz ones I save, it's a good one.
So very chill. Yeah, I guess we could just start, just saying whatever playlist it is that we're listening to whenever we do these, so then people can listen along at home if they want to.
Yeah.
It won't line up exactly, though, because this is edited.
Right. But we don't put the music in the show, so it doesn't matter. Feel free to listen to jazz while we do our show.
You know, it's like the butterfly effect, though. And it's like the changes that come from, like, you know, sometimes a note might just hit just right, and that might affect the way that we say something or something that we talk about. Or if a song starts to fade out and it gets real quiet at the end, sometimes, you know, we take a moment when a song is fading out and we just listen to it fade out. And sometimes we comment on that. And that's valuable context that if somebody was listening along at home in an unedited version, those things would line up for them and they would enjoy that moment of silence with us. But they're not going to, because we're not doing that.
I guess. I mean, that's a lot, but yeah. It's not really that complex.
Do you not think that every moment that happens every day, no matter how insignificant, affects our life in some way? Can you look forward to what is to come without the burden of what has been?
I generally believe that each moment shapes our future to some degree, but I don't think about it ever. I just generally do believe that. I do think, for one thing, we should majorly simplify our show description because I think it's way too absurdly complex looking.
Oh, one thing we might be able to do for that, we might be able to just shorten the links to bit.lys. But I found how you actually make the links clickable in the description, so that you can now click on the links in the podcast description. You don't have to copy paste them manually. They now just work as links. I thought I was going to have to do a whole HTML thing for it, but thankfully it just had a button for making it a hyperlink. It's been a while since I've had to do HTML stuff, almost a year.
Yeah, no, I've been listening to more and more podcasts. Our description was very much based off of my channel's description and Big Wop Big's channel description. And I look at it now and I'm like, this is just a lot. Just does not need to be that full. Because it's just intimidating. I feel like some people probably look at that and again, maybe I'm reading into this too much. But, well, first of all, I don't know why the YouTube description translates the way it does. It looks terrible. Everything's way too fucking spaced out.
Oh, yeah.
But I think just having a genuine description for the episode, and then a coffee link, a link tree link, and then the music attributions, that's it.
I think still the links that we have there, the information present within it is still good information to have, but it could probably be truncated a bit.
Plus linking my Twitch is pointless now.
True.
I mean, I guess if you're gonna link anything related to me, you should link my TikTok. I actually have some short form show ideas for TikTok that I was just gonna do because it's a lot easier for me to edit TikToks. I was thinking of doing my book club show idea there because it'll be a lot easier for people to consume, and I can review the books I'm reading because I've always wanted a show to be able to do that, and it would just be whenever I can.
You can be like all those book talk girlies, just showing off porn.
I want to be on book talk, but not whatever you're talking about.
That's the majority of what you'll kind of see of book talk these days, is not people actually talking about and discussing actual books and provocative works of fiction. It'll instead be provocative works of fiction. It was a bigger thing people were talking about maybe 5 months ago. It's been a minute since it all sort of phased around, but book talk definitely got itself a bad reputation for just being a porn club. And every comment, everything, every book that they talked about, people were like, what's the spice level? It's just the only thing anybody was talking about was just all erotic fiction. So if you go around saying book talk, that might be a lot of people's first impressions.
Well, let it be known. I like to be on a side of book talk that's not that. So don't get that impression. Saying it here. There you go. But I'm not going to advertise it as being a part of book talk on TikTok. I just wanted I'm just mostly focused. The idea is central around that I've wanted a show for a while to just talk about books and review books. The most major worry I have about making content at all is just getting harassed for being trans. But I don't really care if a ton of people see my book review TikTok show. And again, the only reason I would feel okay giving that a test run is because it's so short form. I don't mind editing TikToks is a lot easier than editing long form content.
True.
I do want to make TikToks for the Closing Shift account for Bad Blood. I plan on doing that. Follow us on TikTok at Closing Shift Show.
It would detract from the actual event itself, but it would be hilarious to do a mini Closing Shift at Bad Blood.
That would be kind of funny. That's where lav mics and commentate over the whole thing. Honestly, lav mics would be a great way to do our in-person show, but I don't know if I feel like buying 2 lavalier mics.
Problem isn't just getting the lavalier mics, it's all the rest of the audio equipment set up that they have to be attached to. Because you can get the microphones themselves that just plug into a thing, but that's, that comes separate from whatever like transmitter pack that it has to plug into, and that comes different from the receiver that connects to, and the cables and the interface that has to go through. It's like I was looking into all this a couple months ago for the sake of doing VR stuff, so that way I could actually have good audio when I play VR. And every wireless mic setup was like, it was either just shitty Bluetooth that, you already know that that's not going to be good, or it's just all these like lavalier setups that it takes like 5 different parts to make it all work. Certainly not cheap.
Is what is,
It is what it is. I wish audio equipment wasn't so expensive because I want more of it.
Everything's expensive.
I'm a bit of an equipment person. If there's something that can be done physically as opposed to digitally, I would much rather do it physically. Like I really do wish that like I just had like knobs and dials and whatever for all the stuff I want to do for audio.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more fun that way. And it's nice to have that. Like, that's a really annoying thing with a lot of cars now, having like screens instead of like an actual like console. Is that it's like, okay, you want to turn up the AC while you're driving, you want to turn down the music, start like swiping around on an iPad while you're trying to drive. I'm not even a fan of push to start cars. I think that's a step too far. I think we made a big mistake there. Manual ignition all the way.
Never had to drive a push to start car. I've hardly been in them at all.
I mean, it's kind of dangerous because of like, the car can be started as long as it registers a key fob nearby. So it's like, it is, like in my grandma's car, if a key fob gets lost between the seats or whatever, like the spare gets lost in there, and she just like doesn't care to find it, it's just like, well, anybody who gets into your car can now just start it and drive it away because there is permanently the go-ahead activated by the presence of a key fob. And also just being able to like you can spoof key fobs, and it's a lot easier to do that than spoof a key. So I don't trust it.
Wow. Bro thinks he's him outside.
Bro mowing his lawn thinks he's him.
Nah, dude just drove by with like the crazy loudest car. There's no lawn mowing here. I live in an apartment.
There's a couple people on like in my neighborhood on my street that are just the loudest and most annoying motherfuckers, to the point that like when they drive by, it activates my noise gate that I have for stream, that like it completely blocks out like the fan behind me, my computer fan. Most noises doesn't get through the gate. But when the car drives by and they're loud, it just gets picked up on stream. I know that the audio of these cars is out there because of this. And I know that at least one of them that comes down my street, it might be easier to identify so I can shame them properly. But I think it's an electric, because they accelerate down my fucking street and you can hear that very specific whirl of an electric motor. Speaking of noise, we had contractors over just the other day to fix a crack that's showing up in the counter around our sink. And they were here for like 4 hours, long enough that a sandstorm, a haboob, had begun to form. And so there was that noise outside from the wind and the thunder of the haboob. And inside, for about 4 hours, they were working on this counter, just like fixing up a little like crack in it. And they were being really fucking loud. Like more than you would believe, just from people putting in like a bit of filler into a counter. That's like, how is there this like drilling and like loud vacuuming? Like it was like rumbling my floor. It's like, how are you doing that for like a tiny thing in the counter?
I prefer to imagine that when people say like I have contractors coming to look at it, they just come and sit at your kitchen table all in a circle and write contracts all day. They just write them down by hand.
We're hosting Contract Club.
Yeah, staying here in Atlanta, you will not escape loud cars.
Oh, here comes one now. I really do mean this in the honest sense of the word, that if you are a person who drives loud cars and likes to make your car as loud as possible through modification, I do think you should die and that you add no value to society. Like, full stop, you should die. Like, now.
Wow.
I feel like it's indicative of having basically zero care for any other human being. Where you're just like, I want to make as much noise as I can, especially at odd hours of the morning. Like, I don't know how that isn't seen as like some kind of antisocial behavior.
I'm gonna go empty my bladder so I can think. You keep wishing death upon people.
So I guess I'll mention briefly while Emmy is away. In the time I spent playing Dark Souls yesterday, I was playing Dark Souls Remastered, the first one, and that run is the first I have ever done a full playthrough of Dark Souls 1 not on stream, and I am really mad that it wasn't on stream because it is the best that I have ever done at Dark Souls. I did basically everything in the game. I did every optional boss, every optional area. I did basically everything you can do in a run of Dark Souls. And I did it faster than I have ever done before. Faster than I even did during my subathon, where I was intentionally trying to go fast. When I last played the DLC for Dark Souls Remastered, when you go to Ulasil and you have to fight, you know, the Manticore and Manus, you know, I spent a lot of time fighting those bosses. I didn't even fight Calamite. I didn't even fight that boss. I skipped that entirely because I was like, man, the rest of this DLC is already so hard. I'm never going to get this done if I go for that fight. And I ended up, when I did that, I had to give up on fighting Manus because he was too tough. And I just like, I had no shot. I ended up having to do like the cheesy kill on him. And the reason why that was so difficult then was because I was going into the DLC fresh off of New Game Plus, which meant that everything was, I was basically at like, you know, soul level 1 going into that. So that definitely didn't help things. So going into it at a natural point in like not New Game Plus, it was a lot easier than I thought it was a few months ago. Because I beat Artorias on like my 3rd try, whereas it took me like 30 before. And I beat Manus in the 1st try. And I tried Manus for like 2.5 hours before giving up when I tried playing the DLC before. And now this time I just did it 1st try. It's like, why can't this be the one that I get like on camera archival of me just destroying Manus? So I'm mad about that because that is the best run of Dark Souls I've ever had. And I am the only one who will ever see it. Well, now I'm playing Dark Souls 2 again because I'm trying to get alongside my sibling who's started playing Dark Souls for the first time. Just finished Dark Souls 1, is playing Dark Souls 2 right now, and we've just been talking about it like every time that we encounter. So it makes for an easier time talking about the games if I can catch up alongside and get refreshed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been replaying Dark Souls for like the 4th time this year.
I don't know if I've ever replayed the same solo adventure playthrough ever. I'm not counting like stuff like Minecraft where you generate new worlds every time and stuff. I don't know if I've ever played through the same story game with a narrative ever. I don't think so. Maybe Mario Galaxy like a couple times. Mario Sunshine I haven't played through fully multiple times, but I started it at one point on a stream or something, and then I played through all of it on Big Wow Big, but I'm kind of a one and done person like that. I get hyper fixated on the same thing over and over sometimes, but most of the time it's not like games. It's usually like a movie or an album or just songs in general that come out. I certainly cannot go back and read the same book twice, as far as I know at least. Maybe that'll change one day. But yeah, I know it's just you and Dark Souls. I started playing Shadows of Doubt recently because I bought it a while ago with a bunch of other games.
I think I have that. How is it?
It's fun. It was a little hard for me to pick up at first because it was hard to understand. There were features it had to make the game easier to do. If you don't know what Shadows of Doubt is, it's a game where you can basically load into a generated world. It's a sandbox detective game where you have to like solve crimes by like looking for clues, talking to citizens, and it's you can generate a new world anytime, but you can also play through like a story in your world. You can like complete multiple crimes and build like a reputation So you can start a world and play in that one for a while, or you can generate a new world and you can change like the size of the city you want to play in. So if you want to play on a small one that's a little easier to deal with, you can, or you can generate a big city. And it's constantly dark and raining in the city, which is very noir of it as it tries to be. So you're basically just like a private investigator, and you have to like also escape people's apart. You have to like sneak into people's apartments to find evidence and stuff. And you have like a pin board, like kind of how like conspiracy theorists will have a pin board with like circles and arrows.
Pepe Sylvia.
You have to use your pin board to organize the information you have, the evidence. You have to link like fingerprints and stuff to different people you find, look at like surveillance footage. It's just like a investigation detective stealth game. It's fun though once you get the hang of it, and it's interesting. I haven't played too much. I've only played a couple hours, but I want to play it more. But I'm also figuring it out. I'm trying to play through more games I like that I haven't given the time yet.
There is a new detective game that just came out, and its primary detective feature is kind of what like a lot of detective games or anything with investigating has had. It's like got that like that rewind thing, you know, like a cyberpunk brain dance and stuff like that. It's just like, we got to go back to the moment that the crime happened, search their files, see their brain, replay the events, that kind of thing. It's called Nobody Wants to Die, and it's sci-fi and it's Art Deco, and it's interesting. It's got some interesting themes going on. The story seems like it has some stuff going on. The writing is a bit questionable at times because the characters like say fuck every sentence, like literally every sentence, just like, great, I can't fucking believe it that these rich bastards are living up here while we live in a fucking pigsty. It's like, it's very on the nose with its themes, and it just really overuses swear words, but it's interesting enough right now that I've only seen a couple hours, but I do intend to see more of it.
It's interesting. Shadows of Doubt apparently claims to take place in a alternate reality in the hyper-industrialized 1980s. You gotta like sneak into apartments to look for evidence too. You can like use ventilation systems to escape and also get in. You gotta like destroy cameras and find power boxes to take down surveillance systems so you can get into rooms without being caught. You have like a set of tools too that you can use to identify stuff, like a fingerprint scanner and stuff. And you will usually scan like a fingerprint on the weapon, on the murder weapon, and then when you find enough of a file on a certain person, like by going to their workplace and looking at their information or breaking into their house, you can well, sometimes you can knock on their door too and they'll let you into their apartment to search. And that's odd because it doesn't take much to gain their trust to be able to do that.
You hold up your badge like Paul Drake and you say, I'm a private investigator. This reminds me that I haven't seen Blade Runner, and I still intend to watch Blade Runner. And in fact, I just finished Fallout 4, which is heavily inspired by Blade Runner. The tingle skrrra, papa kaka, skibby beep papa, and the boom boom boom, skia.
You good?
You're done now.
I like games with good stealth mechanics though. This game, the stealth mechanics aren't like quite as fun as like the superhero games I played that have good ones, but it does its own thing that I like for sure. It's got the replayability is there.
Oh, speaking of stealth mechanics, I saw an amazing behind the scenes thing from the creation of Metal Gear. I think Metal Gear Solid specifically. And it shows the team building these like hallways, these like miniatures out of Lego just to get the rough shape of all the rooms for the game. And then they use a little handheld camcorder to sort of emulate where they want to, like, because you see the whole game basically through the perspective of security cameras. It's all a fixed camera game. So they would use a handheld camcorder that they'd like hold over the little wall of the Lego miniature. They'd like move it back and forth to like kind of simulate how they wanted the camera to move in game. It's very interesting. It's just like the little basics of like how they planned that all out. It's like when you see all the old like NES era games and they're all like, all the levels are like hand drawn on like graph paper.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't seen too many game development behind the scenes from back then, but I haven't seen too much game development BTS anyway.
I don't think there's ever been like a BTS for Dark Souls, but I would love to know everything about the process of those games.
Oh, would you?
Oh, would I? I'd love to be there at the moment that Miyazaki's like, you know what? Maybe we don't make this character have an on-screen appearance. Maybe we do just relegate this character that does have an item set. We just make them only exist in an item description when we have a full design for the character.
I kind of regret making the decision to not take Adderall because I have coffee, but I usually take an Adderall when we do this show because it helps me talk more. And I didn't because last time I took Adderall while I was drinking coffee, it was like the most insane shakiness ever. So I elected not to take one, and I kind of regret that. It's such a different brain function to do this show without Adderall versus with it. It's so much easier to like just roll commentary out of my mouth.
You get that thing, you know, you wake up too early in the morning, you don't get enough sleep, and then you're just like shaky.
I don't know if I specifically get that, but possibly.
That's what I get if I don't get enough sleep. If I'm like really exhausted, or I just wake up on a particularly miserable morning, it'll just be like shakes and shivers for like the next hour.
No, I don't get anything like that. I'm pretty used to sleeping. I mean, even if I wake up a little early, I just kind of lay in bed and try to keep resting until I want to get up. Like I woke up at 8 a.m. today, and that's pretty generous, honestly, because I usually wake up earlier. But even that I was okay with because it's the weekend.
Everybody's working for the weekend. What song is that?
Working for the weekend.
What? No way.
Yes.
But who's it by?
I don't know who's it by.
That's what I need to look up. Loverboy? Who the fuck is Loverboy? Who are these guys? Oh god, that's a bunch of old men. They're wearing leather.
They probably weren't old when they made that.
I don't know. They look like a gang of goons from Mad Max. Here, let me send this your way. If you want to know what we're talking about, this image that I'm about to send over, it's the cover photo for The Very Best of Loverboy. Do they have any other song that's popular other than Working for the Weekend?
They do look like goons.
They do. I think that they are just, yeah, that's like their one big song, because all their other most popular songs, when you look at it on Spotify, it's like number 1, Working for the Weekend, 186 million listens. Second place, Turn Me Loose, 49 million. And it just gets like low, like by the time you reach number 5, it's down to 12.
Not surprised.
They put out an album in 2014, I guess. So many bands that they just have like one little song, one hit, and that just carries them forward for like an entire career. But then the band ultimately just falls apart, and that's like the only thing that remains. Like, I am Ozymandias, look upon my works, ye mighty in despair. It's like there's certain words there, and there's like even certain songs. They are the only surviving things of lost languages. Like there's a bar song, like a song people would sing, like a drinking song, I think in Ireland, that for the longest time, everybody just thought that what they were singing in the song was gibberish when it like came around to the chorus, whatever. But then they found out that in fact, the song is not gibberish. The chorus is just in a now dead language. And that song is basically the only surviving record of what it sounded like. And I kind of just think about that with like little bands like this. With, 2 million monthly listeners. Little band Loverboy. But it's like, you know, these one-hit wonders that they hold on for so much longer culturally than where they originate. It kind of is just like that.
I don't think at all. That's my issue. Dude, it's so hard, I'm telling you. It's such a difference. I've got to take Adderall when I do this show. It is miserable in this head trying to think of shit. I don't even have to think of shit. That's the difference. When I'm on Adderall while we're doing this show, I'm like just going. Somehow there's more going on in my life when I take Adderall. I don't know why. It's just easier. That's why I have it, because I have ADHD.
ADHD's nuts.
Just easier to be a fool when your brain is stupid, but you take Adderall.
I feel like I sound more stupid, but also like more insightful when I'm like talking tired like this. That's like, I probably sound like a jackass when I'm talking about like half the topics we are here today. But when I'm tired, all the little topics that are normally in like the back of my mind, like, oh, well, I wonder what happened to the band Loverboy, and thinking about what that means culturally. That's like a background thought. But now, because I'm tired, there's no foreground thought. So you just see into the background of, man, I wonder what the behind the scenes of Dark Souls was. Unicorn Wizard.
You would think it's so hard to, because my sister's like on the phone and I can hear her, and that's distracting, and my brain already has like nothing going. Like every time you stop talking, I'm like, I start thinking and nothing comes up. I'm just like, what's a good response? How do I add to this? How do I yes and this?
Come back to Metroid Fusion, where you kept missing your cue to read your lines.
Yeah, but that's the problem. There's no lines. I can't write this show ahead of time.
We could script an entire episode.
Yeah, but we're not fucking gonna.
But we could.
Yeah, but we're not fucking gonna, because you know what? I'm fucking busy. I have a fucking job. I have a fucking car I gotta worry about. I got so many fucking problems, and I gotta fucking write a fucking script for this fucking show.
Well, are you a writer on Nobody Wants to Die?
How did you know?
How'd you fucking know?
How'd you fucking find out? Somebody fucking tell you? I'll fuck them up. Jesus. That's exactly why I want to do like short form live action content, because it sounds so much fucking easier. Plus you can upload like 30-minute videos or some shit on TikTok anyway, so it's not like I have to worry about time.
Oh my god, yeah.
I just think having a little show, I think it's not really that I think it's like smart for marketing, even though it probably is more smart for marketing than some other things, but it just sounds like fun to me because editing short form content is easier. There's less like screen to fill, if that makes sense. And it also is, I think it'll be nice for the convenience, because I always like sitting and watching interesting TikToks when they have like a longer presence. So for like the convenience of people who like content related to books and stuff, they can, and books might not be the only thing I do, but I'm going to probably do like a test episode of it and see how it goes, see how much time I can fill about books.
Well, I suppose that brings us here to the end of our 26th inaugural episode of Closing Shift. Can they all be inaugural?
I'd
like to be inaugural.
I don't think it can. I don't think they can.
Cool.
But you know what? It can be whatever you want.
If it can be anything that I want, then I want it to be over.
All right. There it is. Goodbye.